Greetings and salutations. Welcome all as we are live here for the Tucson Sound Art Cup Farmers Insurance 200 at Dover, Delaware. I'm your host, Al Nixon, joined up in the booth by Brian Britt. Kenny Powell will be working the cameras behind us, behind the scenes. So we have got an exciting race in store for you here this evening. Welcome, Brian. Brian is going to become now our new assistant host here on the Saturday Night Tucson Sound Art Cup. So welcome, Brian Britt.
Just the assistant. Hopefully, you're going to ask me to go get you any coffee now, Big Al. But I'm glad to be here for sure, and excited about this 200-mile race, 200-lap race here at the Monster Mile. We already saw a good one on Thursday. Definitely was very dramatic. Saw the top two wreck in that race. So could we see something similar here tonight? I definitely think we could. I mean, Dover has been so entertaining, especially the Xfinity race earlier today was definitely one heck of a race to watch. But I definitely want to talk about some of the point situations going on here coming into this race here tonight. Uh, the Super Cup Series right now, Chris Rivera in the lead for that has 3 wins and 7 top 5s. Eric Kling in second place. Kenny Powell right now in third. Josh Schaffner in fourth. Justin Levine in fifth. Noah Bitts in sixth. Seventh place Clayton Hoffman. Eighth place Ryan Strunk. And that is our Super Cup Series. Of course, we also have the recently, I do believe, beginning Tucson Cup Series. That's Tucson Sound Art Cup Series that just recently began here. I do believe Chris Rivera in the points lead for that too.
Yeah, looks like that's going to show Chris Rivera being on the lead with Kenny Powell in second place. Ryan Strunk, still with no wins, going to be sitting there in third place with Eric Kling in the fourth. Greg Wachinski in fifth. Justin Levine sixth. Al Koslowski seventh. Brooks Dirting eighth. Kenny Thompson ninth. And Gary Adamson rounding out our top 10 there for the ISCA Tucson Sound Art Cup Championship points, Brian.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to talk about it too, but yeah, I had to get that pulled up for sure. But I mean, Chris Rivera apparently doing very well. I know. Want to give a huge shout out to I know Kenny Powell. He's listening right now to us, but can't really talk. We want to give him a huge shout out for stepping up and being able to pick up kind of the slack around here. While I know Rob Melnick usually is down behind the cameras, but I mean, Kenny Powell's been making some sacrifices, wouldn't you say, Al? With these points, not being able to really get out here and get these points. But I mean, the league comes first, and he knows the show must go on, and definitely proud of him to make that sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely. We love it. It's been very
Seems like we might have lost Big Al there, but definitely has been
yeah.
very nice of him to do for
Sorry
sure.
about that. Yeah, it's awesome having Kenny back there working the cameras for us because this is his series. But speaking of which, we're going to have to step away here, Brian, just for a little bit and pause for the playing of the national anthem.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Driver, start your engine!
And welcome
just to
back,
clarify,
race fans.
do
All
not,
we are
NOT,
live
do
here
not
as
hit
we are
the
getting
88.
ready to start
You-
the gridding
I
for
heard you
tonight's
hit
feature
88.
presentation.
Yep, I heard the
On the
same thing. Hit
pole,
the
looks like we
88.
got
Hit the
Chris
88.
Severa in that 62
Yeah,
gas
like
and
Chris
go
idiot. No, I'm not.
Mustang. Alongside of him will be Josh
You just
Schaffner
better
in the
hope the
50
88 don't hit
Chevrolet.
you first.
Row 2 is going to see Eric Clean in the
Oh!
95 Ford. Beside him will be Jose
You said do not hit the
Acosta.
88.
Row 3 shows Greg Wachinski and
confused.
Kenny Thompson. Row
This is the
4
right part of
shows
my car.
John Mullins and Frank Flores.
Okay, I'm just kidding. Don't hit the 33 car.
Row
Don't hit the
5 is going to
33
show
car.
Justin Levine and Al Kozlowski.
Paul
Who'd you pick to
Olson,
win?
I do believe, going to be in 11th place.
That's going to
Gary
be,
Adamson in 12th. Ryan Strunk in
Eric
13th.
Klein.
Warren Young going to be in 14th, and Robert
Technically, the last time
Pattingale
you
going to
picked
be
me, I
rounding
didn't
out
win.
our 15-car field here. Saw a lot of very good performance, or a big
I watched
a
it practice,
good
there's
performance
not a
there
snowball
from Warren
chance in
Young on
hell.
Thursday. Kind of a relatively new face to this league. Seen a lot of other relatively new faces too. I have never really seen as Frank Flores. I mean, Jose Acosta. I don't think he's kind of a new face for me, but I'm excited to see what these guys have in store for us tonight, Al, and going to be an interesting race tonight. I mean, of course, 200 miles, 200 laps. Stage is going to be on lap 40 and 80. Of course, 120 laps to run to the end here. 6 sets of tires going to be for these guys here tonight. I think they're going to probably use every single one of them, Al, just considering how much of a cheese grater Dover can truly be. Fuel window is going to be about 70 laps.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to come into play once we get into that third stage, Brian, because that's when we're actually going to see our green flag pit stops. But the first 2 stages, it should relatively be caution-free. I think everybody should just take their time to kind of figure how their track's going to come in, and then maybe about 5 to go. You imagine we'll have a little run for the cash?
Oh, definitely could. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've seen different stories here at Dover. I mean, it could be long runs to the end. I mean, could see some chaos here in the first stage. Guys getting used to how the car's handling. Got to keep in mind. I mean, 75% fuel on these tanks definitely causes the cars to handle a little different. And also 96 degrees on the track, a little bit warmer as the green flag soon to come out. Chris Severa going to lead him to green.
And Chris Severa leading the field to the green flag right now. He's actually going to wait and hold right to the end. Now getting a good jump there right at the start-finish line. Chris Severa now going to be lined up on the inside, leading that field around Josh Schaffner. On the outside, going to think better of it and just going to go ahead and get in line, looks like. This Saturday night league, Josh, Brian, everybody seems to be pretty patient, so we'll see if that plays into this tonight as well as we get this first lap going. Drivers all seeming to get into that race line to come up to race pace here a little bit for us.
Yeah, we saw the corn man able to stick side by side for just a moment there, but it looks like Eric Klein going to move up to the 3rd position. Jose Acosta right now in 4th. Greg Wachinski putting a lot of pressure on him. He's right there in 5th. Some side by side action. I do believe John Mullins and Justin Levine, that's 7th and 8th fighting right now.
Yeah, Justin Levine and John Mullins, both of those guys aren't any strangers to little race mischief here, I guess you'd say, in this Saturday night series. But Chris Severa continuing to lead this field around here for us. Josh Schaffner just tucked in right behind him with Eric Klein holding down that 3rd place position.
Yeah, this is not a surprise, coming from Chris Severa. Just such a talent out there. Clean air going to be very important getting around this racetrack with the high banking and high speeds. Whenever you're in that clean air, you're going to have a whole lot better handling, especially very big danger zones when you're coming out of these corners. Coming out of 4 and coming out of 2. Oh, and there goes John Mullins into.
Going to hurt his speed for sure. I mean, you don't hit the wall that hard and, not feel it. So he's probably going to be trying to, recover from that all race long. But Chris Rivera still out front. Josh Schaffner starting to get a little bit of pressure for Eric Kling. A little bit of some battling going on a little bit further back here is Kenny Thompson works his way up into 5th place. Greg Wachinski's falling back to 7th.
Yeah, a little side-by-side action going on here as we start to make our way halfway through stage 1. Al Kozlowski now getting a little racy here as he is going to find himself coming up on the back of Kenny Thompson.
Definitely some lot of tension going on right now out there for a lot of these drivers. They want to get as many positions as they can early here because, once the tires start to wear, it's going to be harder and harder and harder to pass. But I think these guys are definitely pretty good start to this race so far. I think a lot of these guys just have patience in mind. I think that's what's really going to take here at Dover. First stage, you want to kind of figure out what the limits of your car, what kind of adjustments you can make here.
Yeah, these guys generally, they're awesome about, being patient and allowing the race to kind of come to them and getting racing towards the end of the stage. But you're absolutely right. This track itself does eat tires. And so as these stages do kind of weigh on a little bit, it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to affect the tire wear. But Chris Rivera, he is exactly where he wants to be, as he has pretty much led every lap of this thing with Josh Schaffner still right there with him. These guys looks like they're just going to be running in line out right here, and I don't know, maybe if Kling is going to try to, well, it looks like Kling is off the pace just a little bit there. He's going to be yielding as looks like Kenny Thompson.
Like he's, yielding to Kenny Thompson. Thompson has just been crawling or screaming through this field in that ultra wing machine there. He has been driving and cutting and through this field up to 3rd now. As Justin Levine follows him along. Levine seems like he's got a fast race car also to 33. Now going to try to pressure the 22. And this is one of those tracks where, pressure is going to mean everything. You're going to want to be in that guy's rearview mirror, make him make mistakes.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting, though, because these two guys, the 22 and the 33, these guys have been racing each other before. And as we do get down here with 7 to go in this stage, Brian, I'm thinking that Levine's going to get a little bit racy. You know what I mean? I think this is the time where these guys are going to actually risk it for the biscuit, if you know what I mean, and try to mount a late stage assault on Severa and Schaffner.
Yeah, definitely seems like they are starting to reel them in. I mean, looking at lap times, Chris Rivera 23.175 last time by. Kenny Thompson 23.159. So he is showing a little bit more speed than the leader right now, but a lot of times, I mean, if you push it too hard, you're going to see that tire wear start to come into play. And, of course, we still have, we believe, next time by 25 laps to go into this stage. There's still a little bit to go until we get to the end of this thing. So I think this is going to be a real test on what kind of cars these guys have.
Yeah, and another thing, too, is if you look at, like, Eric Kling was running in the top 3, but as we've seen before in the past, he kind of falls off a little bit, and I'm wondering what is actually going on with that 95. Maybe he would have had a little contact with the wall, or maybe his car got a little tight, not knowing what's happening, but going to be interesting to keep an eye on him to see if he continues to fall back in the field or if he gets that thing back, get a handle on it and get back to the front.
Well, I mean, looking at if you take a look at the right side of the 95, you can see quite a bit of side damage on that thing, a little bit of right front. Definitely hurting that machine as you see the 77 of Ryan Strunk now trying to go underneath him. So I think that damage really has caught up here to him. Luckily, he's still out on the racetrack. I don't believe he's going to go a lap down. I think that's going to be his main goal right now, just to avoid going a lap down, try to, fix that thing when the stage break happens.
And it's early on, but you're going to see a lot of cars going to be bearing that same mark of the beast on that right side as this race continues to go on here. As we got 18 of 40 laps in here in stage 1 so far.
Yeah, I think Miles the Monster are going to be doing that to a lot more cars out here tonight. As you see him struggling and still falling through the field. I mean, he's just going to be just throwing away positions here. But I mean, that it's going to be okay. I mean, it's going to be something that hopefully he didn't knock any toe out of that machine or anything like that. I mean, this is one of those tracks where sometimes even a little bit of damage can help you out, but I don't think that's the kind of damage you want right there.
Yep, Roger. Looks like the 33 of Josh Lee has gotten by Kenny Thompson. Now he is going to go ahead and try to make his assault, as he now has that third place position secured. Now, as we get to the close to the end of this first stage, though, Brian, halfway through it now is where guys are going to have to start figuring out if they're going to actually want to go ahead and make that charge towards the front to try to grab some of those very valuable stage points.
Yeah, definitely stage points are going to be very important here tonight, and just also track position. So, always important to have track position, considering how hard it is to pass out here. Of course, Kenny Thompson, I think he burned his equipment up here. As you see, Jose Acosta was able to take over fourth here. We're going to see a lot of these guys that are quick on that short run. But as this race goes on, I mean, this is, these first two stages are experiment phases here. These are going to be where these guys are going to figure out what's wrong with their car. Maybe talk to the crew chief, make a couple adjustments to try to get that car working a little bit better to where you can, or maybe adjust on your own driving also, because, I mean, Dover is a track where, you can go very quickly and you'll wonder why, like, man, I'm passing everybody. It's not because they're not as quick as you. It's because they're being smart with their resources here. This is a resource management game right here.
Yeah, the biggest thing is, like you said earlier, is that this is the stage where you're actually able to get that fuel data, to actually figure out how that tire wear is going to be, because you're gonna come in at the end of that first stage and get tires anyway. So now guys are going to start to get that data that they're going to need, that's going to come into place. But so far, Chris Severa's data is all going to be showing him of being out front in that good air, Brian.
Well, and one of the disadvantages, I mean, of course, being up front and being in that clean air is always as a pro, of course. But one disadvantage that Chris Severa has right now is he's making the pace right now. So if he chooses that pace to be too quick, then he could, burn his tires up prematurely. And also, it's harder to judge yourself on other people when you're in front, because so Josh Schaffner. Up here and battle for a top 5 and even a top 3 position with the pace he's showing right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of status quo for us here so far, but this is exactly what we expect it to be. The first stage is going to be incident free. We hope to be caution free, and drivers will just kind of get used to feeling out the track, and that's exactly what's happening here, I do believe.
And we are seeing some battling going on further back in this field. We see Frank Flores taking over the 9th position. Warren Young still trying to hold off Al Kozlowski. So some big battling going on here as they're trying to catch up here to Eric Kling. We saw Eric Kling earlier, get that wall pretty hard, and I think he's definitely going to be under fire here from these other guys. And you can already see how much fall off has already affected these cars. Only getting ready to, be 30 laps into this this stage here, and already these guys have fallen off 0.8, almost a second for some guys.
Well, I think it's not necessarily indicative of them falling off, but just shows how fast Severa and Schaffner can be. I mean, it's a reason why Chris Severa is in the lead in the points. These guys come out here week in and week out and just really, the G&G guys, they put on quite a show for us.
That they do. I think one of the biggest competition for G&G, though, has got to be, people like, Triad or Frontline, Justin Levine. I mean, he's in 3rd right now. He always is in contention to win. I mean, he's a previous season champion, so would not be surprised to see him come up here and tussle with Chris Severa, and I think that's going to produce some fantastic racing. We're soon to have 8 laps to go in this stage.
Oh, Brian, any surprises to you here in stage 1 so far?
I mean, not really. I'm thinking we're just seeing a lot of guys really, like I said, experimenting. I feel like I am quite surprised to see, people like Jose Acosta. I haven't really seen him before. Been really impressed with what he's been managing to do right now. Right there in 4th place, showing a lot of pace. I mean, he's fast He's just as fast as everybody in front of him, so I would not be surprised to see him in the picture here. And like I said, I mean, on Thursday, I think the most surprising thing we saw that night was at the end. You know, two guys kind of wrecking each other, getting that, you know, and then the third place guy kind of getting the win. I mean,
But if
could
that's
something like that happen tonight?
yeah, but if that's when you want that wreck to happen. You don't want to say have that wreck happen, you know, at the end of the first stage. You want it to happen the last 2 laps of the main event. You know what I mean? So yeah, that makes sense.
And mistakes can happen at any time here, as we're seeing Justin Levine starting to really catch up here to Josh Schaffner. The top 3 really starting to bear down on one another here. Could we see a interesting race here for the end of the stage? I think we might, as we're soon to have 5 laps to go.
And at just the end of this stage, I'm gonna tell you, it can't come soon enough for the likes of Paul Osen, Kenny Thompson, and Gary Adamson. These guys right now, they've got the leaders bearing down on their back. So thank goodness for them. You know, they'll be able to get out of this thing and probably get a new lease on life here for the beginning of the second stage. But Severa just definitely, you know, he's got the pressure on him, so he's having to do what he's got to do, because Levine's going to drive the tires off of that car to try to put pressure on Schaffner, who in turn is going to ultimately have to put pressure on Severa.
And one thing I think I've seen a lot of here at Dover is, you know, guys can be quick enough to catch up to the back of the leader, but it's going to be very difficult to actually make that pass happen, just because when we talked about clean versus dirty air, you know, the closer and closer Josh Schaffner or Justin Levine gets to the back end of Chris Severa, the less their cars are going to be handling well. They're going to not have as much downforce on those front ends, which is so important here at Dover. I mean, this is a track where handling is literally everything, especially when you're coming on the exits of these corners, and you don't want to have a lack of downforce be a problem for you. So, going to have, you know, the car's going to drive totally different when you're in that dirty air.
Yep, pit road is closed, and like you said, catching them, well, totally different than passing them. So Schaffner is definitely kind of bearing down. The only thing Severa has to do is make a couple more turns. Oh, Schaffner gets a little loose there, but able to collect it. But, you know, that's going to open the door for Levine, who has really closed that gap on Schaffner now, and he's going to be wanting to battle him for that second place position.
Big wiggle there for Justin Levine off the corner, but he does get underneath the 50 here. He's going to go for the second place position here. I think he might have it. And look at that. It's clear here. This is when you want to be fast. So I expect Justin Levine to be a factor here. You know, 40 laps into this race, I expect, you know, this is when you want to have speed here as the stage concludes.
Schaffner's still not out of the woods yet, as he has the 42 car breathing down his neck as well. Well, fuck, I think that's going to possibly put stage 1 in the books for us, and Chris Severa is going to be your stage 1 winner.
I don't know. Looks like Jose Acosta, right before the yellow comes out here, I think he's going to get it. I'm surprised the yellow hasn't already came out. That's kind of, usually the stage is over at the conclusion of lap 41, but looks like the green flag is still out in the air right now.
And I guess we'll just continue racing. But so what will happen is that stage will be recorded as over at lap 42, at lap 40.
Yeah, it looks like these guys are going to continue racing. So I think we're going to get to even see how these guys' tires affect, you know, even longer in this run. I mean, if they have to run to stage 2 without a yellow coming out, that means we probably are going to end up seeing green flag pit stops here. Ryan Strunk is now up to the 5th position. It's Greg Wachinski sitting there in 6th place. Frank Flores right now in 7th. You see Warren Young starting to catch up there to Frank Flores. Warren Young on Thursday showed a tremendous performance there in that Bud Light 9 Chevrolet, and really I expect him to do the same here tonight. But one thing about it, that there is the caution, so it looks like we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but these guys are probably going to love to be able to get down pit road here.
Yeah, so the caution is out, and with that, let's go ahead and take a pause to get a word from our sponsors.